I'm sure we all realize that we cannot defeat the enemy in the flesh. Ephesians 6:12 tells us that, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now I'm going to break this down real briefly. I don't want to get off track. So we're referring to deception in these days. But I want to break this down to let you know who is it that we are being deceived by. Who's the deceivers? And who are those that we are in war with? And who are in war with our souls? He says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So therefore, we cannot defeat the enemy in flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. Principalities are high ranks, are an army of wicked fallen angels. Against powers. Powers is also a unit of this army, Satan's army. Against the rulers of the darkness of this world. The rulers of the darkness of this world, we know who they are. These are those who have us oppressed. These are the ones who have us pinned against the wall. And these are the ones who seek in our souls and our blood and our children. Against the spiritual wickedness in high places. CERN, World Economic Forum, the EU, NATO, all of these divisions that are ran by Europe, aka the Khazars. Let's get into this. Welcome to the Lookout Post. This is Benevolent, your host. Thank you for joining me. Today's title message is, Let No Man Deceive You. And these scriptures are coming from Matthew 24, verse 4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Let no man deceive you. So if he said that in those days, can you imagine how prevalent, extremely useful, and beneficial that is today? Clearly, these are the last days. These are also the days in which he warns us to let no man deceive you. Yah foreseen that leading towards his return, that Satan would have this world in the palm of his hands. And we see that. You see, if more people knew who Yah truly was and turned unto him in repentance and be doers of his word and not just hearers only, we would have a much more clearer view and spiritual discernment to see past the deceit and lies. In Hosea 4:6, he says, My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. I have come across an important clip that is not new, but of course it's been on the low. But it's more relevant and prevalent in the days we're living in now than when it was recorded. Take a look.
An illusion will be created so vast, so large that it escapes their perception. Those who see it will be thought of as insane. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the Absolute. We will work together always, and we will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespans short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. For all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. They will see our products being used in films and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them that it's for their health. We will start early on when their minds are young. We will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their minds and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicines that will make them sicker and cause other diseases for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak, so they succumb to us and our power. They will grow depressed, slow, and obese. When they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods, so that they may never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so that they may never be one with the oneness of all. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do as we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technology into their lives. We will use fear as our weapon. We will establish their governments and establish opposites within. We will own both sides. We will always hide our objective, but carry out our plan. They will perform the labor for us, and we shall prosper from their toil. Our families will never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure, always, for it is the way. We will keep them separated from the oneness by dogma and religion. We will control all aspects of their lives. We will make them kill each other when it suits us, and tell them what to think and how. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. We will incite animosity between them through our factions. When a light shall shine among them, we shall extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. We will make them rip each other's hearts out and kill their own children. We will accomplish this by using hate as our ally, anger as our friend. Hate will bind them totally, and never shall they see that from their conflicts we emerge as their rulers. They will be busy killing each other. They will bathe in their own blood and kill their neighbors for as long as we see fit. We will benefit greatly from this, for they will not see us, for they cannot see us. We will continue to prosper from their wars and their deaths. We shall repeat this over and over until our ultimate goal is accomplished. We will continue to make them live in fear and anger through images and sounds. We will use all the tools we have to accomplish this. The tools will be provided by their labor. Hate themselves and their neighbors. This they must never know. We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one. They must never know that color is an illusion. They must always think that they are not equal. Drop by drop, we will advance our goal. We will take over their land, resources, and wealth to exercise total control over them. We will trick them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedom that they have. We will establish a money system that will imprison them forever, keeping them and their children in debt. And they shall band together. We shall accuse them of crimes and present a different story to the world. For we will own all the media. We will use our media to control the flow of information and their sentiment in our favor. When they shall rise up against us, we will crush them like insects, for they are less than that. They will be helpless to do anything, for they will have no weapons. They must never learn this truth, for they will turn against us. The truth will be hidden in their face. It will be so close that they will not be able to focus on it until it's too late. Oh yes, so grand will the illusion of freedom be that they will never know that they are our slaves. When all is in place, the reality that we have created from them will own them. This reality will be their prison. They will live in self-delusion. When our goal is accomplished, a new era of domination will begin. Their minds will be bound by their beliefs, the beliefs we have established from time immemorial. But if ever they find out that they are equal, we shall perish. This they must never know. If they ever find out that together they can conquer us, they will take action. They must never ever find out what we have done, for if they do, we shall have no place to run, for it will be easy to see who we are once the veil has fallen. Our actions will have revealed who we are, and they will hunt us down, and no person shall give us shelter.
You see, us Hebrew folks, we are easily deceived because we do not like to read. We do not like to study. We do not like to research anything other than what's easily accessible unto us. We don't want to do any footwork. We don't want to do anything extra. But this is why he says in Hosea 4:6 that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because we lack knowledge is the reason why we fall for this deception all the time. And we will continue to fall until we get that right knowledge, until we are enlightened by the Holy Spirit, in which the Holy Spirit will indwell in us and give us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we need to see past all of the deception. So we have the Planned Parenthoods. Another deception and a plague that has been placed in the Hebrew areas is the liquor stores. To keep the blacks intoxicated, which leads to alcoholism, neglect of responsibilities, which leads to homelessness, jail, or death. Fatherless homes, which regenerates the cycle. Next, we have the check cashers. It's funny how you only see check cashers in the hood. You only see check cashers in the urban areas. You only see check cashers in poor environments. When you go to the Gentile areas and you go to the suburbs, I never see a check cashers. You ask them for a check cashers, they look at you as if you had 6 heads. The check cashers are to keep the blacks from getting bank accounts or establishing credit. If they stop you from establishing credit, you can't buy a house, can't buy a car, you can't own anything. And this is where they want you. Just cash your check, give us a cut of what we already take from you in taxes, with no savings or investments whatsoever. And the youth follow this vicious cycle of blind ignorance. Next, we have the churches. They buy out all the pastors. They buy out all of the pastors, offer tax-exempt services for their businesses of church, hold them to an oath and secrecy to only speak on topics that require receiving tithes, prosperity, and feel-good sermons, with no talk of repentance of sin. Oh, and by the way, the Sunday worship is the worship of the sun, as in moon and stars, not the son of Yah. You see, sun worship was a very prominent religion at the time of Christ, and Sunday was the main day of worship in the pagan Roman Empire, just as it was in the ancient pagan Babylon. Remember I told you, and as you know from studying, that Babylon is where all of religion comes from, where all the signs and wonders come from. Comes from Egypt down to Babylon, and so on and so on. Sun worship was one of the oldest components of the Roman religion. We could remember the sun god of Egypt, Ra, the sun god Ra. This is where Sunday comes from, worshiping the sun god. These wicked serpents of Satan that deceive the masses into thinking that they are doing the work of Yah. He says that they're false angels of light. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13 and 15. For such are false apostles, those who claim that they speak with Yah, those who claim that they have been sent by Yah, those who claim to be ambassadors of Yah, have never heard from him, have never spoke to him, and don't even know him. Deceitful workers of deceit, deceivers. They deceive the masses, they deceive the congregation, they deceive the community into thinking that they're doing the works of the Father, when all they're doing is working you over and making sure their pockets remain fat. Transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. Transform means to shape shift, to take what once was and change it into something that you're not. So They're wicked devils turning themselves into pastors, turning themselves into priests, turning themselves into evangelists, turning themselves into bishops when they're apostles of Satan. Verse 14. And no marvel, don't be shocked, don't be surprised by this. For Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. So Satan himself transformed into an angel of light, which is the Antichrist, which is the pseudo Messiah. He transformed into an angel of light, which means he is the ultimate deceiver. Another deception that reigns in the Hebrew areas and abroad. So when I'm speaking on deception, I'm not just speaking for the Hebrews, but I wanted to make a point that the ultimate goal is to destroy the Hebrew, is to stop the Hebrew in his tracks. But then other Gentiles and Arabs and Asians alike, these other people suffer as well because they're not up to the status and they're part of society. They just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. But this is for us. This is aimed at us. But if you are in that same financial bracket and you are living amongst the poor, then this goes for you too. Which leads me to speak on government assistance in the hoods, government assistance in the urban areas. The welfare offices are placed conveniently in the poor, rundown areas of the city, forces blacks to become complacent and dependent. It makes them feel as though you don't have to do nothing. Sit around, collect. I got a check coming. I'm good. I'll see y'all in the next 2 weeks. No ambition or will to rise up to accomplish anything. The benefits deceives them. Benefits deceive them because they receive checks, so they look at it as a free check, but it deceives them. How? How, B? How does it deceive them? It deceives them because they feel as though they are winning, when in fact they are losing and wasting precious time. When benefits run out, you become their ready slave because you have no work history or skills. It's too late to seek a career. It's too late. Employers will shun you and ignore you due to your huge gap in work periods and work history. And the young black children suffer during these deceptive times. The spiritual weapon used against Israel, against Judah, against the Hebrews is named deception, and it will never cease. To sum it all up, let me give you a brief rundown. Esau, Edom, wants revenge and will stop at nothing until Israel, Jacob, is wiped off the map. An article that I stumble upon states this. The head of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says Monday that Tehran's strategy was to eventually wipe Israel off the global political map. Now that was prophesied, ladies and gentlemen. Yah prophesied that same word. If we go to Psalms 83, verse 3 through 7, they have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have taken craft. They have taken crafty counsel against your people. Crafty counsel. Crafty counsel is deception. They have deceived your people and consulted against your hidden ones. Consulted against your hidden ones, which I'm assuming, well, I believe are the prophets. Consulted against them too. They have plotted to kill the prophet. They have plotted to kill the messengers of Yah. Verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Let's cut them off from being a nation. Where have you heard this before regarding Israel? I can name how many? All of Islam, all of the Muslim nations, all of the Islamic nations. They hate Israel. You wonder why? The hate of the Muslims and the Islam and the Islamics for Israel and Judah is Esau and Edom has intertwined with the son of Abraham with Hagar, the bastard son of, well, not bastard because Abraham was there, but in turn he was a bastard because Abraham sent off Hagar and the son. So in the Bible, in Genesis, I'm not sure exactly where it is. I want to make this brief. That's why I'm not bringing it up. But Sarah wanted a baby, and Sarah was old. She was about 99, almost 100 years old. And Yah told her that he will give her a kid. He will give her a son. And she shrugged it off. She laughed and she joked. She said, yeah, right. So she told Abraham, she said, Abraham, go into our maid. The maid, her name was Hagar, an Arabian maid. And she told him to go into the maid. He went into the maid. She conceived. When she conceived, brought forth a son named Ishmael. Now, Ishmael is Israel mixed with Arabia, mixed with the Arabs, mixed with the Muslims. So this is why they refer to Father Abraham. This is how they relate to the Jews with Abraham through Hagar and Ishmael. Now the Holy Spirit showed me that Ishmael is actually Islam. When you take off the H and the E and you put it together, it's Islam. Ishmael is Islam. This is an ultimate deception. Because through the century, Yah's people never knew this information. We was in the darkness. And as he said that what has been done in the dark shall be seen in the light. And what has been said in the corners of the house and in the closets shall be declared on the rooftops. And we see this happening, don't we? We see all the lies and the secrets and the deception coming to the light in the end times. To close it off, we cannot close without the main characters, the tabernacles of Edom. See that? Edom and the Ishmaelites. What I just say? Edom and the Ishmaelites. So Edom is the Europeans, the European nation, the Khazars. They want to destroy Israel. And the Ishmaelites are the Arabs, the Muslims. They want to decapitate any Jew or Hebrew that they see. Of Moab, Hagar's people. The Moab are the children which stems from Lot's daughters. When they slept with Lot, when they got Lot drunk and slept with him and created incest and created the Moabites and the Amorites. The Hagarians are the children of Hagar, the Muslims, the Arabs, the dark-skinned Arabs. This is an ultimate deception because through the century, Yah's people never knew this information. We was in the darkness. And as he said that what has been done in the dark shall be seen in the light. And what has been said in the corners of the house, and in the closets shall be declared on the rooftops. All right, let's take a look at this harp. Harp weather control. Weather control. Weather control. Now, we always, growing up, felt as though that Yah always controlled the weather. Yah, anytime it rained or snowed or anything went on, we already looked to the skies, to the heavens, and knew it was Yah. But remember what he said. Let's go back to what he said. He said, "For false Christs and false prophets shall rise, and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect." So what he's saying is that these beasts are so cunning and so conniving in their deceptions that if it were possible, even Yah's people will be deceived. Even Yah's people can be deceived. This is how good they are. This is how much power the serpent gives them. But those who endure to the end shall be saved. Let's go back to harp. All right. HAARP. HAARP, weather control. HAARP, what is it? HAARP. HAARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Was a little known yet critically important U.S. military defense project which generated quite a bit of controversy over its alleged weather control capabilities and much more. Let's find out a little bit more about this. The project was shuttered by the military in 2013 after attracting large amounts of negative publicity. Why are you attracting negative publicity if there's nothing going on? There's only negative publicity if you're doing something you're not supposed to. So people knew exactly what was going on and started to check you on it and expose it. But now it's considered negative publicity, right? Yeah. Negative publicity through HAARP, like research, undoubtedly continues in other secret projects. So it continues. So when we see tsunamis and we see the weather change, the climate change, you can bet that HAARP has something to do with it. This essay reveals major deception promulgated by those involved to lead the public to believe HAARP was simply a research facility with little practical military value. So they want you to believe that HAARP was just some hole in the wall, that they were just sitting around experimenting, a bunch of geeks sitting around experimenting, blowing up different vials and stuff and just being a bunch of weirdos. Nah, This is a military project aimed at the citizens to deceive us into believing that climate change exists. Though denied by HAARP, project officials, some respected researchers, alleged that the electromagnetic warfare capabilities of the project were designed to forward the U.S. military's stated goal of achieving, check this out, full spectrum dominance by the year 2020, of owning the weather in 2025. We're in 2022, rapidly approaching 2023. I feel they got that in hand, don't they? Their signs and wonders are almost deceiving the elect, isn't it? Others go so as far as to claim that HAARP technologies have been and continue to be used for weather control, to cause earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, to disrupt global communication systems, and more. Let's go down a little bit. And there is no doubt that electromagnetic weapons capable of being used in warfare do exist. The HAARP project's $300 million price tag also suggests more was going on than meets the eye. It's funny that they say that there was a lot more going on than meets the eye. Remember that old cartoon that all of us boys, we liked when we was boys? Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in the skies. Robots in disguise, more than meets the eye. They were prepping us. They were prepping us for these days. HARP is wicked. And so now when they come with that climate change and all of this, HARP mixed with the chemtrails, those lines that are emitted after the planes fly through the air. You see that long line that stretches for miles and miles? That's not exhaust. That's not exhaust, ladies and gentlemen. That's chemicals. That's chemicals sprayed in the air. That's aerosol sprayed in the air to work alongside HARP, to spread particles and germicides and poison into the air. So when that poison touches the air, touches all of the elements that needs. See, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know how it goes. But all I do know is that it's artificial. It's artificial. And it's what the Bible calls signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect, even you and I, those who hold strong to Yah's word, those who follow after Yah, those who worship him in spirit and in truth. Even we can be deceived if we don't hold on and we don't build up our spiritual discernment. To close it off, we cannot close without the main characters, the leading role. We will save the leading role for the Khazars, the serpent people, the great deception from then up until now. As I promised, we're going to get into exactly who are these Khazars or Khazars, however it's pronounced. We're going to go to this article that I found very exclusive intelligence examiner report by Tex Mars. I believe back in the days in my early studies, I remember Tex Mars. He's an end times prophet. Well, not an end times prophet, but he's an end times messenger as well. And he does some good work, and he knows the Lord, and he knows what he's talking about. Let's find out about these Khazars. So on the top, the headline says DNA science, Ukraine. Ukraine? Hold up. What? What did I say? What? Ukraine? What does Ukraine have to do with this? This is, how old is this? First of all, let's see how old this is. How old is this? How old is this? Excuse me, I'm just trying to get a date. See if I can get a date here. How old is this? Nah, it doesn't say. But from the looks of it, it looks pretty old to me. I'd say probably early 2000s. Ukraine and a second Jewish homeland. Second Jewish homeland. So when we look at the Russia and the Ukraine crisis, and we see how it's going on half a year now, and Russia's just moved to Kiev. They only moved one city in the matter of 6 months. And remember, this is Russia. Russia, Cold War Russia, the major military power of the world. And you're going to try to tell me that all you could take was one town or one city at a time? And you're a major power? Yeah, you could believe that if you want to. Zelensky and the Russians go hand in hand. Ukraine and Russia are the Khazars. And what they're looking to do is gain back land, gain back force, so they can reunite to dominate the world. Let's get into this. Let's check this out right here. The serpent people return to Ukraine. And he quotes Matthew 23, verse 33. He says, "You serpents, you generation, race or nation of vipers." Yah called them a generation of vipers. So if you want to say they're not called serpent people, he said to them, he spoke to them in those days. He said, "You serpents, generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell?" There is no escape. Yah's telling you there is no escape. They will not escape hell for their wickedness. We have journeyed to the center of the world and landed in the belly of the beast, says Rabbi Joel Bask. Journey to the center of the Torah. All right, guys, let's get into this. This is getting real deep, real deep. All right. Everything is coming together. Yes, it sure is. The DNA science has torn back the curtains of time and revealed the serpent and his people. He revealed the serpent and his people. Off top, we can see the pentagram, the pinnacle, which stands for the Jewish Star of David, which is blasphemy. DNA science has torn back the curtains of time and revealed the serpent and his people. The ones we today call Jews are the very disciples of the evil entity whom the Bible describes as that old serpent, the devil. Strap up, people. We about to get deep into this right now. We're going to get deep into this. We're going to find out who these Khazars are, and we're going to find out where all this deception comes from and who's this targeted at. From the early centuries of first millennia, the Khazars or Khazars of Eastern Europe were known as the diabolical serpent people. And now the nation of Israel has admitted that its people are indeed the Khazars. Woo! Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Now, if that's not deception, I don't know what is. The admission by the Israelis that the Jews are not related to the ancient Israel. Who is ancient Israel, people? Who is ancient Israel? They are admitting that they're not the ancient Israel. We, the brown melanated people, are Israel. They have admitted that its people are indeed the Khazars or Khazars. The admission by the Israelis that the Jews are not related to ancient Israel but to Khazaria was reported in the Times of Israel leaked report. It was a leaked report. Obviously it was leaked because you know that's not going to be out there like that. There's no way they want that to be out. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, Khazars. Secret plan for reverse migration to Ukraine. Reverse migration to Ukraine. So why you think Putin wants Ukraine so bad? Why is Putin going so crazy talking about he want Ukraine? When he had Ukraine the first week, he could have conquered Ukraine the moment he stepped in. The moment he could have blasted 2 bombs and it would have been over. Whatever happened to that Satan nuclear bomb that he has? He's toying with these people. They're in cahoots. Those people that you see out there fighting, those are mercenaries. And the people on the ground, the civilians are the only ones that don't know the deception. The people on the ground are indeed really getting killed. But the people in command, the high military command, those are the ones that are safe and sound, doing Zoom chats back and forth from secluded areas of the Ukraine back and forth to the world. But we know that when you're in war, you don't have time to be on Snapchat, and we don't have time to be communicating with all these people asking for a helping hand and talking about, you know, we need the world behind us and all that. Since when have you ever seen a leader of a war-torn country beg and grovel like that? And what do? Because we're so deceived, we take our hard-earned money and we send it out to Ukraine, to these serpents. That article by Professor Jim Wall related that the Israeli leadership in Jerusalem is selling military equipment and settlers from Israel to Ukraine. I believe they're doing that right now, aren't they? With the deception of helping Ukraine because they're so weak and they're being demolished. When in fact, all they're doing is building their regime so that the Khazars can be stronger and rule once again. Huge, major deception. That's why I left it for last. The Jews have taken charge of that ravaged country's government and finances and intend eventually to make the Ukraine a second homeland for the Jews. This is the plan, ladies and gentlemen. In 2022, this is why we see the Russia-Ukraine situation going on. Pure deception. Open up your eyes. Their plan leaked by governmental insiders came only after Netanyahu and his cabinet reviewed growing DNA genetic evidence that the Jews are not the descendants of Abraham. Let me repeat that. Netanyahu and his cabinet reviewed growing DNA genetic evidence that the Jews are not the descendants of Abraham. Instead, they came from Khazaria, of which Kiev, that city Kiev, isn't that the city that Putin's having such a hard time with, having such a hard time to infiltrate? Kiev. Ukraine is the centerpiece. In fact, the Jews of Israel and the U.S. are of Ukrainian heritage. Ukraine is the heartland of Khazaria people. Ukraine is the heartland of Khazaria. Now, if I was prideful, if I was boastful, I would drop the mic and end the message. But there's more. There's more. Back to Khazaria. The rabbis teach that in the 8th century, the entire nation of Khazaria converted to the Talmud and to the Kabbalistic Judaism. So the Talmud and Kabbalah is Babylonian paganism mixed with Judaism, which Judaism is mysticism. Mysticism that has been put in, they want to mix it with the Torah. The Torah are the first 5 books. And they want to mix all this pagan and idolatry and magic and sorcery in these books. And when they do so, you have the Talmud and the Kabbalah. Adopting the sordid but occultly revealing sex symbol of the 6-pointed star. Remember we talked about that, the 6-pointed star, the Star of David? The pagan Khazars, known for the centuries as the Serpent People, battled against both Christians and Islamists. So we see that they are on neither side. They have an agenda to rule the world. Later, as converted Jews, they migrated to Poland and Eastern Europe. Today, they are found mostly in the USA and in Israel. DNA science has today confirmed this Khazar lineage of the Jews. I document the Khazar bloodline heritage in my definitive book. So he has a book called DNA Science in the Jewish Bloodline. It's a lot here, people. There is a lot here. And I got to go through it. I got to go through it so we can understand exactly what's going on. What's going on with these European people and the EU and the World Economic Forum and Carl Schwab and all these sick, demented, twisted, demonic people. We got to find out what makes them tick. We got to find out where they come from. And we see that they come from the Khazars. The Khazars identified in Revelations 2 and 3 as the wicked synagogue of Satan. We know that in Revelations 2 and 3, he mentions that they are not the Jews, but are the synagogue of Satan. So he calls them out, and he lets the readers and he lets his people know that they are imposters. They are not true Jews, but yet they are the synagogue of Satan, and they will go where Satan goes. Synagogue of Satan, which are the Khazars, which are the so-called Jews of Israel, are further identified in Ezekiel 38 and 39, prophetically as the people of Gog from the land of Magog. So we see that this is the Magog that the Bible is referring to when he says that the land of Gog and Magog, how they all line up to meet in the land of Hoshaphat, which is where the apocalypse will take place. Prophecy clearly tells us that this warlike serpentine people shall invade and conquer Israel first, then go on to plunge the entire planet into chaos and warfare. We can see that in Revelations 20. So if you have your Bibles on your time, do some study and go and check out Ezekiel 38, 39 to study about Gog and Magog, and then go to Revelations 20 to find out more about these Khazars and their plans. From Khazaria to Israel and back to Khazaria, Ukraine, aka Ukraine. So Khazaria is Ukraine, is Israel's secret plan. So Israel, not our Israel, the demonic Israel that is currently inhabited by the Khazars, their plan is to ultimately conquer the world. It sounds like a movie and it sounds like a cartoon, but this is real life. And the Bible clearly explains this all. After suppressing the Ukraine nation, the Jewish conquest will continue until the Jews achieve their new world order. Let's finish this off, y'all, because I know this is a lot, but it's deep, serious information that you're not going to get anywhere else. Domination of America. In 2007, American political science professors James Petries, John Mearsheimer, and Stephen Walt reached the conclusion that America's foreign policy is now dominated by the Israel lobby, the Jews, the Khazars. Do this through their powerful money groups. The AIPAC, look that up. I don't know what that is. The ADL and the AGC. You guys look that up. I have no idea what that stands for, but if you could let me know, that'd be great. They control both the Republican and the Democrat parties. You see that? That's who runs America. That's who runs America. That's who runs the world. This is why I had to bring this, and this is why I had to drag this. It may be dragged and winded for those who don't care or those who don't wish to know the truth. But those who want to know the truth and not be deceived, this is what it's all about. They control both the Republican and the Democrat. This is the ultimate deception. The left and the right, two wings, left wing, right wing on one bird. The bird that we see as the eagle, when in fact, deception peeled away. Phoenix. A phoenix. The phoenix dies, destroys everything, and builds it back up. Destroys the whole world. And then regenerates herself in a flame of fire. This is why that's on the dollar bill, along with the pyramid, and with the all-seeing eye of Horus. But how did the Jews come to acknowledge their Khazarian bloodline link? These people know that they know that they're Khazarians because they feel it within them. They have no heart and they can't feel Yah. So that is their mark. That is their mark, to know that they are Khazarian and to know that they are part of the serpents. Brothers and sisters, a video is nowhere enough to display all the deception that awaits us. Hold on to Yah for dear life. He, not Obi-Wan Kenobi, is our only hope. Yah bless you and your families. Benevolent out.